Good morning, students. So earlier I have discussed how to estimate pile capacity, individual pile capacity in clay soil, and how to estimate individual pile capacity in sandy soils. In today's class, I am going to explain group capacity of piles. So as per IS code, minimum 3 piles are needed to support a column. So when 3 piles are used, it is arranged in triangular pattern. So hence piles acts as a group, but failure of the pile may occur in two ways. One is individual pile failure. Second one is block or group action of pile. So hence it is necessary to estimate pile capacity when they are in group as well as individual. So when piles are arranged in group, the failure of the group may occurs in two ways. One is individual pile failure. So because of failure of any single pile, it may cause failure of group. Sometimes group as a group, all piles will may be failed. It is known as block failure. So that it is necessary to estimate pile capacity when they are in group as well as individual. So first, let me explain how to find the load carrying capacity of individual pile failure. So group capacity by considering individual pile failure. So Q suffix GI, group capacity considering individual pile failure, equal to N into QU, where N is known as number of piles, QU is known as ultimate load carrying capacity of a single pile when they are in isolation. So QGI is known as group capacity based on individual pile capacity. So all our other parameters are same. AB is known as area of the pile at the base. C is known as cohesion of the soil at the base of the pile. LC is known as bearing capacity factor. For clay soils, it is constant 9. So pi dl is known as surface area of the pile. Surface area if it is circular one. So alpha is known as adhesion factor. So if it is a stiff clay, it is less than 1.0. If it is a soft clay, alpha is assumed as 1.0. So C is known as average undrained cohesion around the pile. So this is the formula for calculating load carrying capacity of the pile by considering individual pile failure. So pile may fail individually, or pile may all piles may fail as a group. So this is the case one, individual pile failure. Second one is block failure. So in block failure, we need to arrange the piles in rectangular pattern or square pattern. So if it is arranged in square pattern, rectangular pattern, we need to find out the width of the pile and length of the pile. So here width B naught is known as center to center distance of outer piles. So here B naught is given by center to distance. Here D by 2, other side D by 2. Diameter of the pile, half of the diameter of the pile, plus 2 spacing, spacing plus spacing. So D by 2 plus spacing plus D by 2. So B naught is equal to 2S plus D, where S is known as spacing between the piles, D is known as diameter of the pile. So for square, so see here the formula Q group capacity by considering block failure. GB group capacity by considering block failure, it is equal to AB, area of the group of the piles at the base, area of the group of the piles at the bottom. FB is known as bearing capacity of the pile at the bottom. AS is known as surface area of the group of the piles. So don't consider individual pile. It is a block failure. Consider as a group. So area means area of the group of the piles at the bottom. AS is known as surface area of the pile of the group. FS is known as average undrained cohesion around the pile. So for square, area of the bottom is given by B naught into B naught. For rectangular, area of the bottom is given by L naught, length into width, L naught into B naught. So for surface area, for square pile, it is given by 4 into B naught into L. For rectangular pile, 2 into L naught plus B naught into L. L is known as length of the pile. So for block failure, we need to find out the area of the group at the base and surface area of the group, Remaining things are same. So here the formula for group capacity by considering the Bragg failure equal to area of the base B naught into P naught, bearing capacity of the base C into NC, next surface area of the pile 4 B naught into L, next alpha adhesion factor, and C is known as cohesion. So here one important thing is in Bragg failure it is assumed that complete contact exists between pile group and soil. Hence, alpha is taken as 1.0. For group capacity, it is a standard one. Alpha is taken as 1.0. So, whatever may be the soil, it may be stiff soil or it may be soft soil, alpha is taken as 1.0. For individual pile failure, you need to consider the alpha value. So alpha value will be given in the problem, but that alpha value should be considered while estimating the pile capacity as individual. But in group, don't substitute the alpha value. It is taken as 1.0. So if there is no perfect contact between pile and soil, alpha is less than 1.0. So in Bragg failure, soil to pile 100% contact will exist. It is assumed that soil and pile 100% contact will exist, and alpha equal to 1. So we need to calculate the pile capacity by considering individual pile failure. We need to calculate the pile capacity by considering the Bragg failure. Then the smaller of these two is known as ultimate load carrying capacity of the group of piles. Smaller of the group, individual pile failure and pile failure as a group. So QGI and QGB. So in between these two, which one is lesser? That we need to consider as a ultimate load carrying capacity of the group. So safe load is equal to ultimate load carrying capacity of the group divided by factor of safety. So here is a problem is there. So a square group of 9 piles was driven into soft clay, extended into a large depth. The diameter and length of piles were 30 centimeters and 9 meters respectively. If the unconfined compressive strength of clay is 9 tons per meter square and pile spacing is 90 centimeters from center to center. So what is the capacity of the group? So assume a factor of safety as 2.50 and adhesion factor equal to 0.75. So this is the problem. In the problem, the data is number of piles is 9, length of the pile is 9 meters, alpha equal to 0.75. This should be considered only in individual pile failure. Even though it is given in the problem, don't substitute this value in Bragg failure. So in Bragg failure, alpha is taken as 1.0. So factor of safety equal to 2.50. So diameter of the pile is given as 0.3 meters. Unconfined compressive strength is equal to 9 tons per meter square. Undrained cohesion equal to half of the unconfined compressive strength. 9 by 2 is equal to 4.5 tons per meter square. Spacing between the piles is 90 centimeters center to center. So first we need to find out the individual pile failure. So individual pile failure equal to n into ultimate load carrying capacity of the single pile. So number of piles is equal to 9. Area of the pile at the bottom equal to pi into 0.3 square by 4 into cohesion at the bottom equal to 4.5. NC is known as bearing capacity factor. For clay solid is 9. Surface area equal to pi into D into L, where D is known as diameter of the pile 0.3 meters. Length of the pile equal to 9 meters. Adhesion factor equal to 0.75 and cohesion, untrained cohesion equal to 4.5. So it is a homogeneous clay. That's we need to take the cohesion value at the bottom as well as surface. It is same. So group capacity by considering individual pile failure equal to 283.4 tons. So Bragg failure. So if square root of number of piles has a rounded value, then the piles can be arranged in square pattern. Otherwise, it can be arranged in rectangle pattern. So for example, number of piles equal to 12. So square root of 12 is a fraction. It is not a perfect number. Hence, it can be arranged in rectangle pattern. So like this. So 4 piles in rows and 3 piles in columns. 4 into 3 equal to 12. But in this problem, the number of piles equal to 9. Square root of 9 equal to 3.0. It is a perfect number. No fractions. Hence, it can be arranged in a square pattern 3 by 3. So spacing between the piles is 0.9 meters center to center. 90 centimeters means 0.9 meters center to center. So breadth of the group of the pile equal to 2s plus d. So 2 into 0.9 in plus 0.3. D by 2 equal to diameter of the pile. So d is known as 0.3 meters. So B naught is equal to 2.1 meters. So group capacity by considering black failure is equal to area of the group at the bottom. It is a square failure. So B naught into B naught. C cohesion of the side at the bottom. NC equal to bearing capacity factor. So C equal to 4.5, NC is equal to 9. So it is a square pile. So surface area equal to 4 into B naught into L into C. So 4 into B naught equal to 2.1 centimeters. L equal to length of the pile equal to 9 meters. So alpha equal to even though it is given in the problem, but in the case of group capacity, alpha is taken as 1.0. It is assumed that complete contact exists between group of piles and soils. Hence, even though it is given in the problem, group capacity alpha is considered as 1.0. So C value equal to 4.5. So group capacity by considering black failure equal to 18.8 tons. Group capacity by considering individual failure equal to 283.4 tons. So ultimate load carrying capacity is the smaller of these two values. So the smaller of the two values is group capacity equal to 283.4 tons. Say for allowable load carrying capacity of group equal to ultimate load carrying capacity of the group divided by factor of safety. So 283.4 divided by factor of safety equal to 2.50. So we will get group capacity of the pile safe or allowable load carrying capacity of the group is equal to 113.36 tons. So the next topic is group efficiency. So the efficiency of a pile group is defined as the ratio of group capacity to individual pile capacity. So group efficiency is greater than 100% in the case of loose sand because of compaction and densification. So group capacity increases. Group capacity increases in the case of loose sand due to compaction and densification. So in remaining all cases, driven sand, poured pile, driven pile, whatever may the case it is, group capacity is less than 100%. So please remember, group efficiency is greater than 100% only in the case of loose sand. So this is because due to compaction, densification, group capacity increases. But remaining all cases, group capacity is less than 100%. So group capacity means it is the ratio of group capacity to individual pile capacity. So a problem is given here. The load carrying capacity of an individual friction pile is 200 kilonewtons. So what is the total load carrying capacity of a group of 9 such piles with the group efficiency factor as 0.8. So group efficiency factor equal to 0.8. We need to find out the group capacity by considering black failure. So group efficiency equal to group capacity by considering black failure to individual pile failure. So individual pile failure is equal to n into ultimate load carry capacity of single pile. So 9 into 200. So ultimately finally we will get the group capacity by considering black failure equal to 1440 kilonewtons. So second problem is a 16 pile group has to be arranged in the form of a square in soft clay with uniform spacing. Neglecting n-bearing, determine optimum spacing of the piles in terms of pile diameter for 100% group efficiency, assuming a shear mobilization factor of 0.6. So we need to find out the spacing of the piles. So for optimum spacing, both are equal. So 100 group efficiency equal 100%. So what is the meaning? The individual pile capacity is equal to group capacity. So in the problem, it is also mentioned that neglecting n-bearing capacity. That means in the problem, in both the problems, we need to neglect the first step. So number of piles equal to 16, adhesion factor equal to 0.6. So ultimate load carrying capacity of a single pile equal to n-bearing resistance plus skin friction resistance. But ultimate load carrying capacity, so by neglecting the first term, n-bearing resistance, so QS, skin friction, pi dl into alpha into c. So for 9 number of files, well, for 16 number of files, it is given by n into pi dl into alpha into c. Alpha into c. So the equation for individual file failure equal to n equal to 16 pi into diameter of the file into length of the file, adhesion factor equal to 0.6 and into cohesion c value. So d value we don't know, d value, l value and c value. Hence it is taken as equation number 1. So the second one, block failure. It is a 16 files. Square root of 16 is equal to 4. Hence we can arrange it in a square pattern like 4 by 4. 4 into 4 equal to 16. So B not equal to 3S plus D. So group capacity by considering block failure equal to AS into FS because the first term is neglected. So AS surface area of the group equal to 4 into B naught into L into alpha into C, but alpha is taken as 1.0 for group capacity. So C value equal to cohesion. So for optimum spacing, group efficiency equal to 100%, equating the equation 1 and equation 2. Finally, we will get spacing between the files equal to 2.1 times the diameter of the file. So another important topic is negative skin friction. So when load is applied in file, the load is taken by tip resistance and skin friction between the soil and file. So this is already explained. So when load is applied on the file, this load is taken by end bearing resistance and also skin friction. So in this case, the load is in downward direction, skin friction is in upward direction. So skin friction resists the load, hence it is treated as positive. The skin friction is treated as positive because skin friction resists the load. So this is all these things refers to first figure. So in second figure, some layer has skin friction in downward direction. That means it will increase the load, which is known as negative skin friction. So in some situations, skin friction acts in downward direction. It exerts force on the pile and drags the pile in downward direction. So this skin friction increase the load. Hence, it is called as negative skin friction. So, negative skin friction means the downward drag exerted by the soil onto the pile is known as negative skin friction. So, negative skin friction occurs in the following situations. One is presence of compressible layers such as very loose sand, very soft clays, or loosely filled up soil. The negative skin friction occurs in the case of compressible layers such as very loose sand, very soft clays, and a loosely filled up soil. So negative skin friction may also occur by lowering the groundwater, which increases the effective stress, inducing consolidation and consequent settlement of the surrounding the pile. So negative skin friction may also occur due to lowering of the groundwater table. When the groundwater table is lowered, what will happen? Pore water pressure decreases, effective stress increases. So that when effective stress increases, what will happen? It compresses the solid grains, settlement of the soil increases. So negative skin friction also occurs when there is vibrations due to pile hammering. It can make the soft soil to settle and causes negative skin friction. So if any vibrations nearby soil due to pile hammering, it also causes negative skin friction. So effect of negative skin friction on factor of safety. So if you see the factor of safety in first formula is ultimate pile load capacity divided by working load plus negative skin friction. That means negative skin friction increases the working load. That means downward load. So factor of safety decreases. So another formula is factor of safety is equal to ultimate pile load capacity minus negative skin friction divided by working load. So negative skin friction here decreases the pile capacity. So factor of safety also decreases. So negative skin friction decreases the pile capacity or increases the load on the pile. So factor of safety decreases due to negative skin friction. So that we should avoid the negative skin friction. So positive skin friction means the partial skin friction acts in upward direction and resists the load. Negative skin friction means it acts in downward direction it adds the load. It adds the load in downward direction. So we should avoid the negative skin friction. So remedial measures. So to prevent negative skin friction, smooth painting is applied onto the pile up to the length of the pile embedded in setting soil. So only the compressible layer zone, only the zone in which compressible layer exists, that zone only the pile length should be applied a smooth painting. So remaining, don't apply the paint in remaining portion because it will decrease the positive skin friction. So in order to avoid the negative skin friction, the pile is applied a smooth painting. That portion is which is in compressible layer only. So where the compressible layer is there, that portion of the length of the pile only applied a smooth painting in order to decrease the negative skin friction. So estimation of negative skin friction. The negative skin friction is computed in the same way as positive skin friction, but end bearing resistance is neglected. So for cohesive soil, the positive skin friction equal to pi dl into alpha into c. So negative skin friction is equal to, instead of L, we should take dn. Here L means total length of the pile, but in the case of negative skin friction occurs only in the case of compressible zone. We should not consider total length of the pile. Only we should consider the compressible layer depth only we need to consider. That's why, so in negative skin friction, pi d is known as diameter of the pile, dn. Instead of L, I have taken dn. Dn is known as depth of compressible layer. Alpha is known as adhesion factor. C is known as cohesion. So here also we need to consider one thing, alpha. So negative skin friction occurs only in the case of soft clays. But in the case of soft clays, it is assumed that adhesion factor equal to 1 because complete contact exists between soil and the pile. Hence alpha equal to 1.0. So negative skin friction is equal to pi into diameter of the pile, depth of compressible layer and cohesion of the soil. So alpha is eliminated. So in cohesionless soil, negative skin friction is equal to, so here also we need to neglect the end bearing resistance. Only we need to consider the positive skin friction. That positive skin friction is converted into negative skin friction. How? Instead of length of the pile, we need to take the depth of compressible layer dn. So pi into d diameter of the pile, dn depth of compressible layer, k earth pressure coefficient, sigma a dash average undrained cohesion, and delta. Delta is known as friction between pile and soil. So here a problem is given related to negative skin friction. A pile of 40 centimeter diameter passes through a recently filled up material of 4.5 meters length. If the unconfined compressive strength of clay is 60 kilonewton per meter square, compute the negative skin friction. So negative skin friction equal to pi into diameter of the pile, depth of compressible layer and cohesion. So diameter of the pile equal to 0.4 meters, length of depth of compressible layer equal to 4.5 meters. See the problem. So a pile of 40 centimeter diameter passes through a recently filled up material of 4.5 meters length. Recently filled up material is a compressible layer. So that depth is 4.5 meters. So C is known as undrained cohesion. Sorry, C is known as undrained cohesion. It is half of the unconfined compressive strength. So UCC divided by 2. UCC equal to 60 kN per meter square. Half of 60 equal to 30 kN per meter square. So negative skin friction equal to pi into diameter of the pile 0.4, depth of compressible layer 4.5 meters, and cohesion equal to 30. So finally we will get negative skin friction is equal to 169.46 kilonewtons. So dynamic formula. So till now I have explained how to find out the how to estimate the pile capacity by using static formula. So now onwards I am going to discuss the estimation of pile capacity by using dynamic formulas. So generally piles are driven in soil by means of hammer blows. If the pile is taken more number of hammer blows, It indicates the soil is hard and pile capacity will be more. So otherwise, if the soil is treated as soft and pile capacity will be less. So dynamic analysis aims at establishing a relationship between pile capacity and resistance offered to driving with hammers. So the resistance offered by the soil against the driving of the pile. So that meaning is pile capacity is small. If the soil resistance against the driving of the pile is very less, that means it has taken less number of hammer blows, it indicates the pile capacity is less. So dynamic formula best suited for dry cohesionless soil and dry hard clays. It is not suitable for saturated sands and saturated clays because when the soil is fully saturated, there is a chances of development of pore water pressure. In the case of fully saturated soil, what will happen when load is applied on saturated soils? Initially, the entire load is taken by water, so not by soil. Hence, we will get the resistance offered by the pore water pressure, not by soil. Hence, results are misleading. So that dynamic formulas are best suited for dry cohesionless soil and dry hard clays. It is not suited for fully saturated clays or fully saturated sands. So the principle behind dynamic formula is the resistance offered by the soil against pile driving is taken as a reference for the estimation of pile load capacity. So the following dynamic formulas are commonly used. One is engineering use formula. In engineering use formula also again we have modified engineering use formula, Hillis formula and Danish formula. So we have three formulas in dynamic analysis. So in engineering use formula, allowable load equal to WH H divided by F into S plus C. So W suffix H is known as weight of hammer. N suffix H is known as efficiency of hammer. It will be given in the problem. It is if it is not given in the problem, take it as assume it as 100%. So hammer efficiency hammer is 100%. So N suffix H is taken as 1.0. So generally NH is given in the problem. If it is not given in the problem, so try assume it is 100%. That means NH is equal to 1.0. So sometimes W into H will be given. So W into H is known as rated energy. So instead of weight of hammer and height of fall, rated energy will be given. So rated energy means it is the product of weight of hammer and height of fall. So here F is known as factor of safety. So a minimum of 6 is adopted. So if it is given in the problem, it will be considered. Otherwise, by default, it is taken as 6. So please remember, factor of safety for engineering use formula is 6. If factor of safety is given in the problem, consider the factor of safety. If it is not given in the problem, try to by default you need to substitute 6. Factor of safety equal to 6. So S is known as set value. So the amount of settlement of the file per single flow. For single flow, the amount of settlement is known as set value. Sometimes for some number of flows, the amount of settlement will be given. Then we need to estimate the settlement of the pile per single flow. For example, the pile driven in sand settled 12 centimeters for last 3 flows. For 3 flows, settlement equal to 12 centimeters. For single flow, settlement equal to 12 by 3. So 4 centimeters per single flow. So settlement set value equal to 4 centimeters per single flow. So C is known as constant 2.54 centimeters for drop hammer, 0.254 centimeters for steam hammer. So it is also standard value. It may be given in the problem or it may not be given in the problem. So factor of safety will not be given. Efficiency hammer also will not be given. C value also will not be given. So you need to assume these values, standard values. So C value 2.54 centimeters for drop hammer, 0.254 centimeters for steam hammer. So drop hammer means the hammer is dropped by means of gravitational force. So the drop hammer lifted and it is allowed to fall on pile by means of gravitational force. So the hammer is dropped by means of gravitational force. It is known as drop hammer. So steam hammer, we have two cases: single acting steam hammer, double acting steam hammer. So hammer is lifted by means of steam power and dropped by means of gravitational force. It is called as single acting steam hammer. Double acting steam hammer means hammer is lifted by means of steam power and also dropped by means of steam power. So if hammer is lifted by means of steam power and dropped by means of gravitational force, it is known as single acting. If hammer is lifted and as well as dropped by means of steam power, it is called as double acting steam hammer. So for drop hammer, constant equal to 2.54 centimeters, and for steam hammer, constant equal to 0.254 centimeters. So model 1, it is a drop hammer. So drop hammer, we need to use the engineering use formula. So a drop hammer is used to derive a wooden pile. The hammer weight is 25 kilonewtons and its free fall height is 0.8 meters. The penetration is the last blow is 12 mm. Find the load carrying capacity of the pile by using engineering use formula. Here we should have one consideration. So this formula QA equal to WH H and H by F into S plus C. This formula is considers only values in centimeters. So all dimensions should be converted into centimeters. Otherwise, this formula is not valid. So height of hammer weight equal to 25 kilonewtons. Free fall, height of fall equal to 0.8 meters. Convert it into 80 centimeters. Set value 12 mm. In centimeters 1.2 centimeters. For drop hammer, it is mentioned that in problem it is a drop hammer. C equal to 2.54 centimeters. So factor of safety equal to 6.0. It is not given in the problem. Assume it is as a standard value 6.0. So hammer efficiency also not given in the problem. So assume it as 100%. So hammer efficiency equal to 1.0. So all dimensions should be converted into centimeters and substituted in the formula. The equation assume that all dimensions are in centimeters. So WH, weight of hammer equal to 25, height of fall 80 centimeters, efficiency hammer equal to 1.0, factor of safety equal to 6, set value equal to 1.2, and drop hammer constant value equal to 2.54. So allowable load is equal to 89.13 kilonewtons. So model 2, it is a steam hammer. A single acting steam hammer weighing 2400 kgs and falling through a height of 1 meter drives a pile to an average penetration of 0.75 centimeters under the last few blows. Determine the allowable load on the pile. Use engineering use formula. So it is a single acting steam hammer. We need to use engineering use formula. Hammer weight equal to 2400 kgs. Height of fall h equal to 1 meter. So after converting to centimeters, it is equal to 100 centimeters. Set value equal to 0.75 centimeters. So for single acting steam hammer, constant equal to 0.254. So factor of safety equal to not given. So it is a standard value 6.0. For steam hammer, factor of safety equal to 6.0. So for single acting hammer, C equal to 0.254, factor of safety equal to 6.0. So efficiency of hammer equal assumed as 100%. So weight of hammer 2400 kgs, height of fall 1.0, h equal to nh equal to 1.0, height of fall equal to 100 centimeters, factor of safety 6, set value 0.75. For steam hammer, C value equal to 0.25. We will get 40,000 kgs. After converting to tons, allowable load is equal to 40 tons. 1 minute. So here another problem is given. What will be the penetration per blow of a pile which must be obtained in driving with a 30 kN steam hammer falling through 1 meter. If allowable load is 250 kilonewtons. So allowable load formula is there. Allowable load is given as 250, weight of hammer 30, height of fall 100 centimeters, efficiency of hammer 1.0 divided by factor of safety 6. Set value we need to find out. C value, it is a steam hammer 0.25. So by substituting in this equation, so set value equal to 1.75 centimeters, 17.5 millimeters. Modified engineering use formula. So engineering use formula is modified here. So WBH H NH by S plus C. This the first term is okay, no problem. First term is same as it is of engineering use formula, but it is multiplied by W plus E square P by W plus P. Where P is known as weight of the file, E is known as coefficient of restitution. So it will come in law of conservation of energy, coefficient of restitution. So here is the problem is that a single acting steam hammer weighing 2400 kg and falling to a height of 1 meter drives a pipe to an average penetration of 0.75 centimeters under the last few blows. Determine the allowable load for the pipe. Take coefficient of restitution as 0.3 and the weight of pile is 7400 kg. Use modified engineering use formula. So we have the formula there. So weight of hammer equal to 2400 kg, height of fall equal to 1 meter. So converting to centimeters is 100 centimeters. Set value is given 0.75 centimeters. E value equal to 0.3. Weight of pile T equal to 7400 kg. So ultimate load is equal to WH, weight of hammer equal to 2400 into height of fall 100. Efficiency of hammer flow equal to 1 divided by 0.75. Set value, C value 0.25. Single acting steam hammer into W 2400. Coefficient of restitution 0.3. So plus 0.6 square into weight of the pile equal to 7400 kgs divided by weight of hammer plus weight of pile. So ultimate load equal to 75,085 kgs. Next, allowable load is equal to ultimate load divided by factor of safety. So engineering use formula, factor of safety is assumed as 6. So allowable load equal to 12,514 kgs. By converting into kilonewtons, allowable load is equal to 125 kilonewtons. So the second formula is Hilly's formula. The ultimate load is equal to WH into H, NH and B by S plus C by 2. So allowable load equal to ultimate load divided by factor of safety. So where WH equal to weight of hammer, H equal to height of fall, NH equal to efficiency of hammer. For drop hammer, efficiency of hammer equal to 100%. For steam hammer, efficiency of hammer equal to 65%. So this is about efficiency of hammer NH. So in numerator, WH weight of hammer, H is known as height of fall, NH is known as efficiency of hammer. For a drop hammer, efficiency of hammer equal to 100%. For steam hammer, efficiency of hammer equal to 65%. So the second one is efficiency of hammer blow. So efficiency of hammer blow, it is a ratio of energy after impact to striking energy of the ram. So here we need to check the two conditions. If the weight of the hammer is greater than product of E into P, then hammer blow efficiency is given by W plus E square P by W plus P. So if weight of hammer is less than E into P, efficiency of hammer blow is given by W plus E square into P by W plus P minus W minus EP divided by W plus P whole square. So we need to check these two conditions. So C is known as effective elastic compression. When the pile is subjected to hammer blow, what will happen? The helmet will compress temporarily The pile will compress temporarily. At the same time, the soil also will compress temporarily. When hammer is allowed to fall on pile, when pile is subjected to hammer blow, three things will temporarily compressed. One is helmet or dolly of the pile, next compression of the pile and compression of the soil. So C is known as effective elastic compression. C equal to C1 plus C2 plus C3. C1 is known as temporary elastic compression of dolly or helmet. C2 equal to temporary elastic compression of pile. C3 equal to temporary elastic compression of soil. So dolly will compress, pile also will compress, and the soil also will compress when the pile is subjected to hammer flow. But all these compressions are temporary, only elastic compression. So model 1, Hilly's formula. Both hammer blows and hammer efficiency of hammer blow and efficiency of hammer both are given in the problem. So no need to check the condition. Here hammer blow is given in directly given in the problem. So no need to check the condition. The precast concrete pile 35 by 35 centimeters is driven by a single acting steam hammer. Estimate the allowable load using Healy's formula. So maximum rated energy is 3,500 kilonewton centimeter. Weight of hammer is 35 kilonewtons. Efficiency of hammer is 0.80. Efficiency of hammer blow is 0.476. Number of blows for last 25.4 mm is 6. The total elastic compression of the pile and soil may be taken as 18 mm. Assume factor of safety as 4.0. So here rated energy means it is a product of hammer weight and height of fall. So 3,500 kilonewton centimeters. So efficiency of hammer equal to 0.80. Efficiency of hammer blow is directly given is equal to 0.476. Set value equal to for 6 mm settlement equal to 25.4 mm. For 1 mm it is equal to 4.23 mm. 25.4 by 6, 4.23 millimeters. So total elastic compression is equal to C1 plus C2 plus C3 equal to 18 millimeters. So we need to convert it into centimeters, 1.8 centimeters. So Hilly's formula equal to W into H, weight of hammer 3,500, height of fall 0.8, efficiency of hammer equal to 1.0, efficiency of hammer blow equal to 0.476, divided by set value 0.423, and total elastic compression equal to 1.8 divided by 2. So in the formula, number of hammer blow is missing. So ultimate load is equal to 1007.4 kilonewtons. Allowable load equal to ultimate load divided by factor of safety. So 1007.4 by 4 equal to 251.85 kilonewtons. So here, second problem, number of hammer blow is not given in the problem. So now we need to check the condition. A reinforcement cement concrete pile weighing 30 kilonewtons, including helmet and dolly. Sometimes helmet weight and the dolly weight will be separately given. In such a case, we need to add the two things. So here directly given a reinforced cement concrete pile weighing 30 kilonewtons. This concrete pile weight is including helmet and dolly. So it is driven by a drop hammer weighing 30 kilonewtons with an effective fall of 0.9 meters. The average penetration per blow is 15 millimeters. The total temporary elastic compression of the pile cap, and the soil may be taken as 18 mm. The coefficient of restitution is 0.36. What is the allowable load on the pile with a factor of safety of 2.0? Use Healy's formula. The weight of hammer is given, weight of pile also given, coefficient of restitution equal to 0.36. Here, efficiency hammer flow is not given in the problem. That's why we need to check the condition. So PE equal to 30 into 0.36, 10.8 kilonewtons. Weight of hammer equal to 30 kilonewtons. So weight of hammer is greater than PE. So number of hammer blows is given by W plus E square P by W plus P, where E is known as coefficient of restitution, P is known as weight of pile, W is known as weight of hammer. So we will get efficiency of hammer flow equal to 0.5648. So ultimate load by Hilly's formula is given by W into H 30. That means weight of hammer, height of fall 90 centimeters, hammer efficiency 1.0, efficiency of hammer flow equal to 0.5648 divided by set value 1.5 centimeters, C constant value equal to 1.8 divided by 2. The ultimate load is equal to 635.4 kilonewtons. Allowable load equal to 317.7 kilonewtons. So here, number of the efficiency of hammer flow is not given in the problem. That's why we need to check it. So a 40 by 40 centimeter reinforced concrete pile, 20 meters long, is driven through loose materials and then into dense sand. Here, final set of 3 mm per floor. So using 30 kilonewton single acting hammer with a stroke of 1.5 meters. Stroke means height of fall. So determine the ultimate driving resistance of the pile if it is filled with the helmet, plastic dolly and 50 mm on the top of the pile. The weight of helmet and dolly is 4 kilonewtons. The other details are given as weight of pile 74 kilonewtons, weight of hammer 30 kilonewtons, pile hammer efficiency 0.80, coefficient of restitution 0.40. The sum of elastic compression of the pile cap, pile and soil is given by 19.6 mm, that means 1.96 centimeters. So here weight of pile including helmet and dolly equal to weight of pile plus weight of helmet 74 plus 4 78 kilonewtons. So efficiency of hammer blow is not given in the problem, so that we need to check the condition. So PE equal to 78 into 0.4 31.2 kilonewtons, weight of hammer equal to 30 kilonewtons. So weight of hammer is less than PE. Efficiency of hammer flow is given by W plus E square P by W plus P minus W minus EP by W plus P whole square. So by substituting the values in the above equation, efficiency of hammer flow equal to 0.393. So ultimate load carrying capacity equal to weight of hammer 30, height of fall 150 centimeters, efficiency of hammer equal to 0.393, efficiency of hammer flow equal to 0.8, set value equal to 0.3 plus constant elastic compression 1.96 by 2. So ultimate load is equal to 1105.3 kilonewtons. Allowable load equal to ultimate load divided by factor of safety. So the last one is Danish formula. So Danish formula, ultimate load equal to weight of hammer into height of fall. These two, the product of these two is known as rated energy. So NH efficiency of hammer by S set value S naught. Efficient S naught is known as elastic compression of the pile. S naught divided by 2. So here S naught elastic compression of the pile is given by 2 into efficiency of hammer into W into H weight of hammer and height of fall into D length of the pile. A is known as cross sectional area. E equal to modulus of velocity of the pile material. So allowable load equal to ultimate load divided by factor of safety. So factor of safety will be taken in between 3 to 4. So if it is given problem, consider it. Otherwise, take factor of safety in between 3 to 4. So here is a problem in Danish formula. So we need to solve this problem by using Danish formula. A precast concrete pile 35 centimeters by 35 centimeters is driven by a single acting steam hammer. Estimate the allowable load by using Danish formula. Use the following data. The weight of hammer 35 kilonewtons, drop height of hammer 100 centimeters, maximum rated energy 3500 kilonewtons centimeters, efficiency of hammer 0.8, length of the pile 15 meters, number of floors for last 25.4 mm equal to 6, modulus of last of concrete equal to 2 into 10 power 7 kilonewton per meter square, factor of safety is equal to 4.0. So first find S naught. S naught equal to elastic compression of the pipe. S naught equal to square root of 2 into efficiency of hammer 0.8, WH weight of hammer 3500, height of fall 1500 centimeters. Sorry, WH rate and directly given. W into H, WH into H equal maximum rated energy equal to 3500. So 3500 into length of the pile equal to 50 meters, 1500 divided by cross section area. Cross section area given as 35 by 35 centimeters. Next, modulus of velocity equal to 2 into 10 power 7 kilometer per meter square. It should be converted into centimeters. So 2 into 10 power 7 into 10 power minus 4. So S naught equal to 1.85 centimeters. So first we need to find out the S naught. Next, ultimate load by Danish formula is given by W into WH into H into efficiency of hammer by set value plus elastic compression by 2. So rated energy equal to 3500. WH into H equal to 3500. Efficiency of hammer efficiency of hammer equal to 0.8 divided by set value 2.54 for 6 number of blows. So if we take 2.54 divided by 6, we will give sentiment per single blow. That's S not equal to 1.85 divided by 2. So ultimate load equal to 2077.2 kilonewtons. The allowable load equal to ultimate load divided by factor of safety 2077.2 divided by 4 519.31 kilonewtons. With this, I have finished the pile foundations. So if you have any doubts, you can ask. ఎవరికైనా డౌట్స్ ఉన్నాయా?